Have you ever been at a party, listening to someone talk with absolute certainty about something you know they're completely wrong about? Maybe they're confidently explaining how to fix a car, or debating a movie plot, and you're just standing there, biting your tongue because you know the facts don't line up. Or maybe you found yourself in the hot seat, confidently explaining a topic, only to realize later you didn't really know what you were talking about. It's a little embarrassing, right? But it happens to the best of us, and it's more common than you might think. Trust me, you're not alone. That's the Dunning-Kruger Effect in action, a quirky psychological phenomenon that affects everyone at some point. So, what actually is this effect? Why do we sometimes feel like experts when we're really just beginners? It's named after two psychologists, David Dunning and Justin Kruger, who discovered something pretty wild in the late 1990s. People with the least ability in a subject tend to believe they're experts, while those who know more often underestimate themselves. Their research started with a simple question: why do some people overestimate their skills so dramatically? Basically, the less you know, the more convinced you are that you know everything. It's a kind of mental blind spot, where ignorance leads to overconfidence. Let's break it down. Imagine you're learning to play chess. After a few games, you start to feel like a grandmaster. Maybe you even brag to your friends about your strategic genius. You win a couple of matches and suddenly, you're giving advice to others. But as you keep playing and learning, you start to realize just how complex chess really is. You notice strategies you never considered, and mistakes you didn't even know you were making. Suddenly, your confidence drops, and you recognize there's a lot you don't know. That's classic Dunning-Kruger. The more you learn, the more you realize how much there is left to master. But why does this happen? Why do our brains trick us into thinking we're experts when we're not? Well, you need a certain level of knowledge to realize how much you don't know. Without that foundation, it's almost impossible to see the gaps in your understanding. If you lack that knowledge, you don't see your own mistakes. You might even double down on your beliefs, convinced you're right. So, ironically, it takes some expertise just to recognize your limitations. The more you know, the more you realize there's so much more to learn. This effect shows up everywhere, from workplaces where people overestimate their skills, to social media, where everyone seems to have an opinion on everything, regardless of their actual expertise. It even pops up at game nights with friends when someone insists they know the rules but keeps getting them wrong. Ever noticed how the loudest voices in the room aren't always the most informed? Sometimes confidence is mistaken for competence, and the real experts stay quiet. That's often Dunning-Kruger at play. It's not just about being wrong, it's about not knowing enough to realize you're wrong. But here's the twist: we're all vulnerable to it. No matter how smart or experienced you are, there's always a subject where you might fall into this trap. None of us are immune. The trick is to stay curious and humble. Embrace the idea that learning is a lifelong journey, and it's okay not to have all the answers. Ask questions, keep learning, and don't be afraid to admit when you don't know something. In fact, admitting you don't know is often the first step to real understanding. After all, true wisdom isn't about knowing everything. It's about recognizing how much there is left to learn. The smartest people are often the ones who are most aware of their own limitations. So next time you catch yourself feeling totally certain about a topic, pause and ask, do I really know as much as I think? Could there be more to this than I realize? That little bit of doubt might just be the smartest thought you'll have all day. It's a sign you're open to growth and new ideas. If you enjoyed diving into the Dunning-Kruger effect, hit that like button, subscribe, and keep questioning everything. The more you question, the more you learn. Who knows what you'll discover next? Stay curious, and remember, sometimes the best thing you can say is, I don't know, yet.